Hello friends, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Isabelle and you can find me on Instagram on Ravelry as Fluffy Fibers, and you can find the show notes for the podcast on fluffyfibers.com. You can also find a group for our podcast where we can share and discuss together and really, grow as a community on as Fluffy Fibers podcast. So again, thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome if you're new to the podcast, and thank you so much to all the new viewers that have joined me recently, and welcome back to all my lovely long-term viewers as well. It's so lovely to have you back as well. So as you've probably gathered from the very beginning of this podcast, I have decided to turn a new leaf in my podcast and change things up, and really that is a means for me to reflect my own development as a maker and the changes I've been experiencing in my own making process really. And one of these changes derives from the fact that I feel I take more pleasure in the process now than I used to. I used to be very project oriented, to be very, and I'm still very, very much driven by the motivation of finishing something for my handmade wardrobe. So all of my making has centered around making a handmade wardrobe from head to toe. But lately I have been feeling that my handmade wardrobe is actually quite full already, and which is a lovely feeling to have. And so that, especially in terms of my sewing, whatever I am making now is less filling a gap than just being more gratuitous, I guess, and just helping me completely enjoy my craft and relax and enjoy making and enjoying wearing things, but more in, with less of an urge really, less of a need really. And I just feel I've been relaxing more in my making really, if that makes any sort of sense. Also, I've just been wanting to branch out and to incorporate new forms of making into my day-to-day life in ways, in order to enrich my experience even more and to find new ways to fulfill myself, I imagine. And one of these ways has been trying to learn watercolour since late 2017, early 2018. And so, yes, I've just been wanting to focus more on the process and just the joy it brings me, the sheer act of making. And so I've just been wanting to reflect more, I've just been wanting for this to be more reflected into the way I do my podcast. And so that is why I will be changing things up, and I have been filming myself making, in the actual process of making. And I really do need to say that someone who has been crucial in helping me make this change has been Katie, who is hosting the Green Bean podcast, and who is Katie Green Bean on Instagram. And she recently started her podcast. I mentioned her in my previous episode 58, and she films herself in the process of drawing and knitting and sewing and walking as well. And I just felt that was just so wonderful, the way she was doing it. And I just felt that was very much lacking in my own podcast. So thank you very much, Katie, for your inspiration. I'm definitely not feeling confident enough to knit and talk at the same time. I know that may seem strange, but I know I would just stop knitting, either be focusing on talking or on knitting. But I do admire that you are able to draw or knit and talk at the same time to the camera, because it's a very, very different thing to be talking to friends and talking to a camera. So yes, of course, other friends have motivated me as well. Danny of Little Bobbins as well has lovely snippets of her life and in her podcast, interspersed in her podcast, and especially when she did her Vlogmas episodes as well. That really has been percolating in my brain for quite a while. So I'm really glad I'm finally just doing it and enjoying myself. And so I do hope it does give a cohesive whole at the end, and it will be enjoyable for you to watch especially, and very soothing. That's really what I'm hoping, is for it to be just a soothing experience. So yes, so let's jump into the actual nitty-gritty of the podcast now. So today I'm drinking my usual green Earl Grey that I really do love, that I have been drinking often on the podcast because it's probably my favourite tea. And for my handmade wardrobe today, I'm wearing one of my favourite dresses, which is the Oldaye dress by Pauline Alice. And it is a faux wrap dress with, as you can see, it's well, you have a wrap, but that is tacked down because it's sewn at the waist. And so yes, I did change the skirt because I didn't have enough fabric, so I used the skirt from another dress. And the beauty of this dress, so the fabric is organic cotton by Lelystoffe, and I just adore this fabric. I could really easily see myself sew more of this print really in either in this colour, which I really do love, or in, I think they do have it in a dark blue as well, which I do love as well. What is lovely about this pattern is that you have so many variations in terms of the bodice and the sleeves and the skirt as well. So I think you have a total of 9 possible variations, you know, if you combine the various sleeves and the bodice. So yes, I made this dress several times, but I think this one is my favourite version, and it's just perfect for spring because of the 3/4 sleeves, and yeah, it's lovely to be able to wear this again, and you know, in celebration of spring. And the organic cotton is very, very comfortable and very, very soft, so that's lovely. I do have some events for you today. I have 3 very exciting giveaways to announce. Pattern giveaways. So several very talented designers have been coming out with gorgeous patterns lately, or collections even. So first of all, Kristin, the wonderful Kristin of Wool and Vine Yarns and Yarn Gazim. Hello Kristin! She recently designed the Something Wicked mitts, which are really super pretty, knit in DK, so they knit up in a flash. I do have a skein of yarn for it already. I'm going to show it to you actually. It's going to match my dress perfectly. I will be using this gorgeous skein that was hand-dyed with natural dyes, plant dyes by Sarah, who is Nuttinome on Instagram and has the Nuttinome Crafts podcast and the Nuttinome Yarns, the Nuttinome store as well, where she sells gorgeous project bags and quilts, and she's an incredible maker. So I will be opening a thread in the Ravelry group with a prompt to for this, and the prompt is going to be, what yarn would you knit the Something Wicked mitts out of? So yes, so thank you so very much, Kristin, for this giveaway. Kristin will be gifting the pattern to the lucky winner, so thank you very much, Kristin. My second giveaway is for Minnie Phillips' Changes shawl. Minnie Phillips is, of course, knitting expert on Ravelry, Instagram, and she has the Knitting Expert YouTube channel as well. She's very, very active and super prolific as a designer as well. And she recently designed the Changes shawl, which I really find absolutely stunning. It's very different, very interesting, and it seems super ingenious. And so it requires fingering weight yarn, and it's a massive shawl. It's a stole really, or you know, schlanket, with, I think it requires 1600 yards of yarn, and it seems super fun to knit. So even though the yardage can be fairly intimidating, first of all you can use odds and ends, which is super fun, and it looks like it's not a tedious knit at all. It looks like it's super, super fun knit. Mina as well was so super kind, and gifted me the pattern. Thank you so much, Mina. And she also offered the pattern as a prize for a giveaway on the podcast. So again, I will be adding a thread on the Ravelry group for you to post. But yeah, that's a very generous prize as well. Thank you so much, Mina. And lastly, but certainly not last, Ellie of Skein Dear Knits, who is also an incredibly prolific designer, and I'm so impressed with everything she does, everything she designs. She recently designed the Blanche Gel pullover, which I bought as soon as it came out. It's so gorgeous, and I definitely want to knit it someday. It has a beautiful yoke that is very delicate, very geometric, but still very delicate. So I feel it's really gorgeous, and you can really have fun with the colours as well in this one. And so she just came out with an entire collection of colourwork socks. And first of all, the socks are completely stunning. So it's very hard for me to say which one I prefer, because I keep going through them and say, oh, that's my favourite. Oh no, rather that this one is my favourite. So, but it's an incredibly stunning collection, and they each either knit toe up or cuff down. So that's incredible. And so yes, so for this collection, I want to give this collection to one of the participants in the colourwork Year of Fair Isle thread that I have on the podcast group, because we started the Year of Fair Isle a few weeks ago, really, and it's going to run from the whole of 2018. I shared in episode 57 how enthralled I've been with colourwork and Fair Isle, and it seems a lot of us have been as well, and this thread has been really lovely and lively, and so I just wanted to acknowledge the lovely people there that have been posting. So feel free to go and post there, post your progress on some projects you've been knitting since the beginning of 2018. So anything you've started since January 2018, you can share. Of course, finished objects are very welcome as well. Anything involving colourwork, and yeah. So I felt it very, very apt for this particular pattern to be a prize, in this ongoing knit along. And so it's definitely a knit along where I'll be having some prizes all through the year, as I see fit, as I just find inspiration for this particular knit along. It's a very relaxed, informal knit along. You knit whatever you want, and the aim is just for us to be inspired by one another, encourage one another, of course. So thank you so very much to all of you who've posted over there. There are some incredibly gorgeous projects over there, so thank you very much. So that is it for the pattern giveaways, and I did want to just draw your attention that I will be organising very, very shortly some giveaways, because very recently I reached 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, and also over 5,000 followers on Instagram, which is incredible, and which I am so very, very grateful for, because it just makes me so, making this podcast and being on Instagram and sharing on Instagram makes me so happy. And so to know that you are enjoying it is just absolutely wonderful. And so thank you so very much, because if you aren't there, and if you aren't listening and viewing and commenting, and if you weren't responding on Instagram, I wouldn't be continuing, obviously, doing all this. So thank you so, so very much. So with all that taken care of now, we can finally move on to my actual making. Even though, hopefully, I will have been inserting a few clips of my making previously in the podcast, but I do hope you're not growing too impatient. So, in terms of a bit of sewing, I have done absolutely no sewing since I last recorded. I've just been too busy. It's a very, very busy time at work, and also, as I was saying, I've just been making other things and dabbling in other crafts. And obviously, if I'm making, if sometimes I'm taking time to paint or to spin, as you will see, obviously it means I have less time for sewing. I do have lots of plans though for sewing in April, because April is Selfless Sewing Month. So Sew Over It is organising Selfless Sewing Month for April, and that's a perfect opportunity for me because there are several babies or small or children that I would like to sew for in April. So that is definitely what I'll be doing in April. So even though I have nothing to show you in terms of my sewing, I can definitely show you a few fabrics that you can actually see, because my children's fabric are just here. So I'm going to just walk over there and show you my some of my plans. So I am standing here in front of the two very special shelves that Seb made me. So he made this one very recently, and this one he made me 6 years ago. So my daughter was just a baby back then. But this one he made recently, and I'm very excited about it because first of all, it's allowed me to reorganise my sewing room completely, and to be able to finally have some fabrics in my sewing room. And so here I have my basket of handspun first of all, with most of my handspun that I haven't knit yet. So there's quite a lot of it. I do need to make something with this because it's rather pretty. But so loads of handspun in there. But apart from this is my shelf of fabrics. My most special fabrics, my favourite fabrics, and the fabrics that I really want to sew relatively soon, let's say within the year. That would be lovely. And this is the shelf for jersey fabrics. Most of them, vast majority of them, are organic cotton, and all of this is prints for children's knits. This is really what I want to focus on. I'd like to see this pile diminish really during the month of April, and be replaced with cute little garments for my children or for some friends, for the children of some friends. So for instance, this is one of my absolute favourites fabrics. So this is a beautiful fabric by Parpy Designs. I think Parpy Designs, they're my favourite brand of organic printed fabrics for children, and they are in Finland, so it's all made in Europe. It's pretty, it's very pricey, but in some shops online you can just get exactly the amount that you want, so you can cut by 10 centimeters, which is what I do. For instance, this is 70 centimeters because it's just enough for the Corfu dress by Ikati, which I want to make for my daughter, which I made last year, and I want to make her a couple more because this is the perfect dress for her. It's very breathable, easy to wear, but not fussy. It's perfect for her, and it really is a gorgeous way to showcase beautiful fabrics because you don't have many seam lines. Ikati is a great designer of children's patterns, also women's patterns, more relaxed women patterns, and I think she's finally getting recognised outside of France, which is really lovely as well. So you can see here how I'm storing my knit fabrics as well. I'm folding it into a narrow strip, and then I'm rolling this strip up because I feel this allows the fabrics not to move around. I feel if you just fold jersey fabrics and store it flat, because it's a very flexible sort of fabric, it can really tend to just flop around and make a mess. But this way they remain nice and tidy and contained, you know. So this is one. The other fabric for my daughter is this one with little girls and their kitties. We chose this together last year, so this really has to happen this year. It's a fairly fast project, especially as I've made it before, so I really should get on it. Then for my son, I have this, which I really like, this combo of little foxes and a matching plain turquoise, solid turquoise, not really plain at all. And this is Tula fabric by Tissu.net. But they did start a new line last year of organic printed cotton for children, which is rather lovely. And so yeah, I think it's each of these is 50 centimeters. So I'm thinking of making the Cordoba outfit by Ecotee again, which I've made several for my son. It's a great pattern. It's super comfortable and perfect for babies and toddlers to move around, toddle around. And so I'm thinking of making, trousers in this shade and t-shirts in this shade. We'll see, with contrasting cuffs. But yeah, pretty excited about this one as well. And then the thing is, I just need to cut out the next size up because my son's grown so much now. He needs to. I need to cut the 3-year size, which is a bit silly. My son is 20 months old, but hey, I'm not going to complain. He's super healthy, so that's wonderful, isn't it? But yeah, and then I have some other beautiful fabrics. This one from Power P again, which is stunning. Sea life, really pretty. And I have loads of this because I was thinking of making matching outfits for my daughter and son, but I'm probably going to use it for friends as well. And also this one that I really like, which is Lillestoff. The kitties, the little girls and their kitties, I can't remember if I said, but that's Lillestoff as well. So this is Lillestoff as well. It's seagulls on a sea background, super pretty. It's perfect fabric for babies and children, I think. So this is definitely going to be hopefully something special. So yes, these are my plans, these are my treasures in terms of printed organic fabrics, and I really like to do this thing in April, do Selfless Sewing Month. In terms of my knitting, I feel today's content is going to be quite different from what I usually show you, because you know how driven I am by making garments, knitting garments, and I haven't knit a single stitch into a sweater, so a cardigan or a pullover, since I last chatted with you. And that is because if you watched the previous episode, episode 58, you may recall that when I was at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I purchased some Lioness yarn, which is a linen and Corriedale blend from Blacker Yarns. And I was so excited about this particular yarn that I had decided it to be my next cast on, and I wanted to cast on for the Tegna tunic. Sadly, I had mistakenly picked the DK weight instead of the fingering weight, so I sent it back as soon as I realised my mistake. But because of the Easter break, things are a bit, the post is slower, and so I haven't received a yarn yet, which hopefully will arrive very soon. I'm sure it will arrive very soon. But I am so determined to knit this particular garment that I have decided not to cast on anything in terms of garments until the yarn arrived, because it's going to be a lovely spring garment, and summer is super hot, so I know I won't be wearing this much if I don't cast it on as soon as it arrives. So in the meantime, I've done something that is very untypical of me, and I've been knitting socks. So I've been knitting either leg warmers for my daughter or socks for me and Seb. So that's really unusual for me, and I've really enjoyed it. Again, socks are very much about the process, I feel, so it's just lovely to have this very portable project to just enjoy and knit in the round, yeah, so I did finish my first sock. So this is going to be, I think this is quite ridiculous, because these are the socks that I cast on Christmas Eve. And so the design is "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" by Danny of Little Bobbins, and you can't really see, I feel these are, I just put the sock on the blocker, but it's not actually blocked, and I think it will open up a lot more once I've wet it and blocked it, washed it. So you can't really see, I feel, the beautiful lace detail. But it actually does show up better, I feel, in real life than it does in photographs or in films, I feel. I feel the variegated tends to obscure the detail in pictures because pictures are flat, I guess, so you lose the dimensionality. But I'm really happy with these. I'm very, very, very happy with how they turned out. So I'm currently turning the heel on the second one. So there you go. I'm currently doing the heel decreases for the gusset. So yes. So it was very funny actually, because on Easter Day, on Sunday, I was actually knitting on these, and I just felt how ridiculous that was to be knitting on my Christmas Eve socks on Easter. But hey, who cares, right? For me, you know, it's just socks aren't completely aseasonal for me. I definitely don't wear socks in the summer in Montpellier, but it's always nice to knit on them and just to have them in my sock drawer. And I certainly am wearing socks in the early spring, so yes, I have only good things to say about this beautiful pattern. There is an incredible attention to detail. Yeah, the little trees are just such a delight to knit and very addictive. You just want to knit another tree and then another tree. And yeah, then you have a tiny tea trunk that runs all along the foot. And I just completely absolutely love Dani's heels, the heels that she puts in her designs. They're really, really special, really well thought out, very different, not your usual heel flap and gussets. So just the heel alone I know I will be using again in other socks, even vanilla socks. So yeah, but so now I've reached the part when, you know, I'm almost done with the decreases, and then I'll just have to knit in the round with just this tiny little detail that is, you know, you absolutely don't need to focus on really when knitting this. So it's going to be smooth sailing from now on. And the yarn that I'm using is Christmas at Hogwarts by Homespun House. I think it's the first time I'm using such a pricey yarn. Yeah, it's definitely the first time I'm using such a pricey yarn for socks. And actually, I think I may just need 50 grams to knit my whole 2 socks. So that's pretty neat. So it means I have an extra 50 grams for something else. So not so pricey after all, I guess. In terms of the needles that I'm using, so this looks like a very strange combination. I'm not knitting this way. It's just that I needed one of the needles for Seb's socks, because I'm using the same set of needles for both socks, which I know sounds really unpractical, but they're my favourite set, and I have only one set of these. So the first sock I knit on the Crazy Trio by Addy, the new you know, set of 3 needles, DPN needles with a cable in the middle, and I shared my thoughts on them in I think episode 57 and 58. And for this sock I decided to switch to my usual DPNs and my favourite DPNs, which are the high sharps, which are super sharp but very, very slick, and I just feel I'm the fastest with these. And yes, I have to say, so I did give the Crazy Trio a try, but yeah, I just don't like them as much as I like my DPNs. So I'm definitely more comfortable and quicker with my regular DPNs, even though you have an extra needle to use. So yes, for me, DPNs are definitely the way to go. The only drawback to these needles is that because they're very, very sharp, I'm super reluctant to use them around the children. For instance, I typically, when I'm in the children's bedroom and we're playing, I will always have some knitting with me, and I'm very, very reluctant to have this with me because, you know, if there's a bit of rough play or a child is climbing on me, yeah, not very safe. So yes, I'm still on the lookout for really slick needles that are less pointy. I feel, for instance, the carbons that have a carbon here, I think they are perfect. They have a perfect point. They're not too pointy, but they're not as slick, so they do slow me down. And the zings are super slick, but they're not quite pointy enough, especially for the little trees. The sharps were perfect for knitting the little tree detail. So yeah, but I'm still very happy with these. So yes, I don't know, I just find it really satisfying to be knitting with DPNs for some reason. I just love it. So as for Seb's socks, here is the sock I'm currently knitting him. So this is the Cyril sock by Danny, again, of Little Bobbins. And it's the first sock that she designed as part of her Vintage Love collection. And it's inspired from her wedding ring. No, her engagement ring. And so the cable motif mimics the her engagement ring. So it's quite lovely, quite gorgeous, and I really, really love it. These were slow going at first because these were the project I had taken with me to Edinburgh, but I needed to use wooden needles for the plane because I only had cabin luggage. And I just couldn't do the tiny cables with the wooden needles. The tips just were too blunt, so it was a huge pain. But as soon as I switched to my sharps, my high sharps, it was super easy and smooth sailing, and they're very, very satisfying to make. And the yarn I'm using is very special yarn because it is the Jacob breed by Blackout Yarns that they recently issued. And I was fortunate enough to receive samples to review, and so these are my samples. So you have the whole shade card here with all the lovely shades, so you have two weights. This is the DK weight. These natural shades are both in fingering and DK, and these are in the fingering weight. And so here you have the pale green and then the dark blue. And this is the purple. And so the gradients are achieved by the difference in yarn, in colour in the fleece of the sheep, of Jacob sheep. And so the darker the yarn, the rougher it is really, the more hard-wearing it is. And so in the info that you have at the back of the shade card, but also at the back of your ball band if you purchase the yarn, Blacker has a whole history of the yarn, which is really lovely, and also explain that you can, you know, it is hard wearing enough to make socks, you know, nylon-free socks, and so that's exactly what I'm making, inspired of course by Meg at from the Curiosity Cabinet podcast, audio podcast, who has embarked in a nylon-free sock experiment for this year. And so, yes, that is my little contribution in a way. And so, yes, I really, really do love the yarn. I love the colours. Seb is very, very excited. I just feel this combination is so perfectly, I want to say manly, but that's very silly, isn't it? Because gender, pre-definitions and everything. But yeah, that certainly suits his aesthetic, that's for sure. And so, because the darker bits are rougher, that's what I'm using for the heel and toes as contrasts. And I was running out of the pale green clay, so I did order a ball that to be combined with my my replacement yarn for the Lioness. So that will be arriving shortly as well. But yeah, I just have a few centimeters more to knit for the foot, and then I can decrease for the toe. So yes, these two socks have been my go-to TV knitting in the evening when we're watching TV together. Currently we're re-watching Doctor Who, like you do. So yes, so they are very much associated with this, of course, with Peter Capaldi, because we're in the Peter Capaldi season. So yeah. Yes, so I really, really do love this, and I'm very excited because I did get some a sweaters quantity of the Jacob to knit myself a cardigan in the clay undyed yarn DK. So I'm super excited to be knitting it because it's really gorgeous yarn, which is beautiful, with beautiful definition, but still this lovely halo. It looks rustic and noble, and I think there's a little for everyone really in this collection, because of the, with the mild yarns that definitely look more rustic, and then the mild yarns that probably look more, I don't know, delicate, I guess. But I do love this combination. That's it for my current whips, which is not much compared to what I usually have on the needles, but it's been refreshing actually to have no fast projects, very portable projects. But I know I'm going to be super happy to receive my lioness and cast on my my techno sweater, and I'm itching to cast on another sweater because there are so many that I love to cast on. All the Love by Hohi, for instance, but I'm being reasonable and just pacing myself really. I did finish a pair of leg warmers for my daughter, and these were a commission. She did commission these because she has this sweater which is a bit untidy because she's been wearing it loads, but this is a sweater I knit her at the end of last year, which has a lower bottom, as you can see, a lower back, rather, a high-low hem. And this is the Nausicaa sweater by Margonnet Designs. It's a beautiful, it's both in English and in French, the design, so you can definitely download it and knit it up. It's a raglan sweater in fingering weight, very boxy, very loose. And so I knit these leg warmers to go with them. Because my daughter had this whole outfit in mind, because she has leggings with some of this turquoise in it, and so she just wanted matching leg warmers to wear with them. And so I cast these. This is so special actually. I cast these on the last evening that I was in Edinburgh, so on the Sunday evening. You know, I was winding down from the whole weekend, and I cast these on, and then Erin texted me that she was in a cafe nearby, and so I just put them in my project bag and went to meet her for the last time, and we just chatted and knit for a bit before I just headed back to my hotel because I had to get up at 3 in the morning, so I couldn't have a late night. But it was just a super special moment. And then I knit on these on the plane and waiting for my connecting flight to Montpellier when I was in Paris. So and then I just knit them on my train commute as well. And these are so fun to knit. I mean, they're so mindless. You have nothing to do but just knitting the round without looking, and it's super gratifying, you know, and my daughter of course loves them. So yeah, I just really like this yarn. It is superwash because she picked it, and I wanted her to pick it from a local yarn store, and we don't have a lot in way of non-superwash yarn in our local yarn shops here. But still, I'm very happy to support my local yarn shop and to still buy yarn from them from time to time. So this is, you know, to me this is a very guilt-free purchase actually. And I'm very happy to see that we are eking out the process by finishing the last remnants of this yarn, and she is very happy about her whole outfit. She was so excited. She danced for me when we took pictures, and then she did a little dance recital for me in her outfit, and that was really fun. And now she's actually using the rest of this to weave herself a bracelet, a matching bracelet, because very excitingly this weekend I resurrected my loom, my childhood loom that my parents gave me at Christmas, and I don't know, I must have been 10, maybe not even 10. And I brought it, you know, from my parents' home I think last summer, in my suitcase, and it's a well-lived loom because my parents had a fire in their home, a big fire, when I was 20, and so 2 rooms were completely destroyed with everything in it. They were just black holes, and my bedroom was just next to one of these rooms, so a lot of my stuff was damaged and everything got blackened by soot, by smoke. And it's okay. I mean, I was so philosophical about it because, you know, no one had gotten hurt. You know, that was huge given how big the fire had gotten. So we were very, very philosophical about this whole adventure. But it does mean all of my books from that era, all of my stuff was blackened, and even when you wash it and try to erase the soot, it still tends to crop back up after a while. And so this loom also I washed and refinished, but it's still grey. I think I should re-wax it actually, but it's such a wonderful little loom, and when I look at the kind of looms that are made now for children, I'm in awe of that little loom because it's incredibly ingenious, well made, super ergonomic, and you can really, it's not a child's loom really, it's a loom, and so I'm very happy to have resurrected it for my daughter. So she had a lovely time weaving on it this weekend, and we're going to weave on it some more. And of course it's making me want to have a loom of my own. And for this I blame Kristin of the Yarngasm podcast, who recently had a rabbit hole episode where she was showing her new rabbit hole, which was weaving. And also Grace of the Babbles Travelling Yarns podcast, and Grace is in Ireland and she was at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and I feel so silly because we didn't chat, and after that I discovered her podcast and her Instagram account, and I feel like we would have hit it off so well, and she feels the same. So we've been chatting actually, and she is the one who started it all. She's the one who inspired Kristin, and she does amazing weaving, and she's super inspiring, super energetic, and hi Grace if you're watching. But yeah, so both of these ladies have made me want to take the plunge and have a loom of my own, and that's actually one of the reasons why I resurrected my loom. I just wanted to see if I'd enjoy it, and so I warped it for my daughter. So because she wanted to do a bracelet, I warped it really narrow, but you can do, I think, a 10cm warp on my loom, on my childhood loom. But of course I'd like to weave larger pieces and you know, to make scarves. And I actually realised, you know, watching tutorials on YouTube, that you can actually do double weaving, which actually means you can weave a fabric that is double the width of your loom. So if you get a 40cm loom, for instance, which is the width of the Ashford sample it loom, which is the one that Grace has. Kristin also has this one in the narrower, in the 10-inch, so 25cm width, but Grace has the recently got the 40cm loom that recently came out, and it's very affordable, very portable, very lightweight. And I actually recently realised that you could weave fabric onto this, you know, an 80cm wide fabric, which would be enough for a lot of sewing patterns. So yes, that is not that I'm considering, you know, actually weaving fabric on it to sew, but who knows, you know, who knows what where I could end up, you know. It's all downhill from there, isn't it? You know, from the moment you touch fibre, really, isn't it? And I've been playing with fibre since I was a little child, so yeah, so I'm very happy about that actually. So, you know, so yes, that's probably another a rabbit hole that I will also be jumping gladly with both feet into soon. My birthday is in exactly a month, So I'm thinking that would be an amazing birthday gift to have. So we'll see. So yes, you can see there is one last thing in my basket of projects, and that is handspan. And I cannot tell you how happy I am to be spinning again. So I used to spin quite a lot, and the exact same thing happened when I had my daughter actually. I just wasn't able to fit spinning into my life when my daughter was really small, because time flies so very, very fast, even faster with a very small baby. And so that was the thing, that was the one craft that went out the window really. And so the exact same thing happened when my son was born. So when he was just born, I purchased, I remember it as, you know, some sort of a present to myself for having him. But I purchased some fibre from Jenny at Owl About Yarn, and she has some gorgeous fibre in her shop, and she had some Polwarth, and I had been inspired by Tracy, who is Schnuffeltier and has the Passionate Spinner podcast, to try combo spinning. So Tracy spins a lot of sweater quantities, and what she often does is actually combine several braids of different colours together. So either she's going to spin them together, split them and spin them all together, or she's going to spin them separately and then ply them together. And so I did the second option, and so I bought 400 grams total, so 2 braids of one shade and 2 braids of the other shade. And they were both in blues, so one was more turquoise blue and the other one was more of a stormy blue. And they were gorgeous fibre, and Jenny's fibre is very reasonably priced. It's a great value, I do recommend it, and it's spun like butter. And so I did spin all of these singles, and this is just half of it, the other half is still on my wheel. But I did spin all of this when my son was just a few weeks old, because when babies are really, really small, actually they sleep more, and so there is, at the beginning is chaos because you're just getting used to everything, but then there is this window of time usually when you've settled into a rhythm, they sleep for several times during the day, so you do have a bit of time to yourself, and so that's when I spun these singles. And after that, life happened, a lot of things happened in my life, and I just didn't get into plying these singles. And so they had been sitting on their bobbins for over a year, if you can't believe it. And I finally got around to plying them. And the reason why I finally plied them is last Friday, today's Friday as well, but last Friday, I went to the dentist, and what should have been a very routine appointment turned out to be barbaric, positively barbaric, and so I came home in a lot of pain, really shell-shocked really with what had happened, an hour of torture really, and basically he was trying to remove a tooth that just wouldn't come off, and I could feel him lose his temper, lose control, which is not what you need of your dentist. So he just was yanking on it he just yanked on it for an hour. So I got home completely shell-shocked, in a lot of pain, and dazed really with this experience, and I just felt that I needed something to completely relax me. And then I just looked at my spinning wheel that had been sitting forlorn in a corner of the living room, and I looked at my bobbins that had been waiting, you know, and I just told myself now was the time. Now was the time to finally ply this. And so that's what I did, that's what I've been doing. And because the singles have been waiting for so long, they were wonderfully relaxed, and so they were very, very easy to spin, to ply. And I have to say I'm very happy with how they look. They look really even, very smooth and regular all throughout the 4 bobbins. So I'm very, very happy, and I'm so happy with the way these singles are looking, you know, the barber pole effect that you have with the two different blues. I'm so, so happy with this. I can confirm this has been hugely satisfying to ply, and definitely what I was needing after this horrible dentist appointment. And so this yarn is going to be to become a cardigan for my daughter. She has a cardigan in a very similar shade that she wears all the time, that I knit her, and she asked for another one that I can knit her, you know, in a bigger size, so that she knows she'll always have a cardigan that matches her in the colours that she loves. So these are definitely all of her favourite colours rolled into one. Mine as well, actually. But yeah, that just made me so happy to be back to spinning, and my daughter was super excited about it. She did try to spin again, but I feel it's still quite difficult for her to master spinning. So that is why also I geared her towards weaving, which I feel is much more suitable, more appropriate to her age. And she's also very keen on sewing something new as well. So we are thinking of sewing a matching skirt to the top that she recently made. So yes, there will definitely be an extra segment in my podcast from time to time, which is going to be mini makes or mini me makes or something like that, to showcase my daughter's projects. Lastly, I just wanted to share a bit of Happy Mail Day that I received that I completely wasn't expecting, and that absolutely made my day. So I received this yesterday, and I just couldn't believe my eyes when I received it. It's so incredibly gorgeous, and I am so, so, so lucky. And I'm sure you will all agree when you see what it is. So this is what I received. Isn't that incredibly gorgeous? So as you can see, this is a bag by Kristin of the Yarngasm podcast and Wool and Vine Yarns. As you can see, her labels here, and she's recently been making these gorgeous drawstring bags, and she recently showed it on her podcast, and I absolutely loved the fabric that she used, especially this floral fabric at the top. And she made one for me, which, oh my goodness, how incredibly kind, and is such a treasure. I absolutely love the colours, I love the swans, I love how serene it is. I love drawstring bags. They are my favourite bags to make and to use, and the fabric is so incredibly lovely. So, so, so lovely. And she included as well some lovely, lovely goodies. So there are some Dove chocolates, which I think are all the rage in the US. I think I never had any, so I know I'm in for a treat. And she included the loveliest soap and bath bomb that smells so, so good. So I just wish you could smell this through YouTube. So there is Rose Garden soap from Soap Cherie, which is a lovely name. Gorgeous colour as well. And it's beautifully or completely vegan, natural, non-tested on animals, which is lovely as well. And so it looks and smells amazing. It has some sea salt to gently exfoliate the skin as well. So lovely, lovely, lovely. I can't wait to use this. And a bath bomb, which also, I think it's also from Soap Cherie as well. Eucalyptus. It's going to be so lovely to use as well on a very, very, you know, a day when I've had a really, really hard day. I think it's going to be a perfect treat. So, and Kristin included an amazing note in a beautiful aqua shade that I absolutely love. So Kristin, thank you so much. You know how much I loved all this. I may have used a lot of exclamation marks in my message to you when I received this, but I was completely in awe, completely, you know, this was so unexpected. It's incredibly pretty. It's such a pretty bag. Oh my goodness. And so yeah, Kristin, no words can express how grateful I am for this amazing bag, these beautiful shades of mauve, and for your friendship above all. So Christine, just thank you so much. So that is it for today, friends. I do hope you enjoyed. I'm so happy that I got to spend some time with you today. And I do think of participating in the threads on Ravelry for the pattern giveaways. Thank you so much for being here today, friends, and for watching. And until next time, I do hope your making brings you joy. Bye bye!